We have the internationally world-renowned psychic medium, Gloria McLaren, the second only person ever in the whole of Scotland to have the Conan Doyle Prize. And today you're going to talk to us about the UK versus the US. Now, I can imagine that practicing psychic mediumship in the UK versus the US is somewhat different. And you've been to the US a number of times, and I understand that you're going back there. So let's unpack this. How are the audiences different? How are the other practitioners different? You know, how's your experience been there different? How did you even end up doing stuff in the US?
So let's start at the beginning. So I ended up in the US because I was introduced to someone in the UK who had a friend here from the US.
Mm-hmm.
He asked me if I wanted to go out to the US, and I was like, well, that would be nice. So a group went out together.
Yeah.
And we ended up going and visiting some spiritual places, like Camp Etna, which is a spiritual camp in the Maine region of the US. And there was a new place opening out of that that we didn't know at the time. We'd gone to visit Camp Etna, we'd gone to church there, and we'd gone to visit this lady in Belfast out there who had a hotel, and unknown to us, for our accommodation, we had to do some mediumship. And that's all good and well. It was all fun. And then I came home and I got asked if I wanted to go back out, and I have. And then again, I went out in a group setting 2018, 2019. And this time, this new place had opened, and that was like an international week. So there was people from all over, people from America, people from Iceland, people from the UK. And it was very nice indeed. So you're networking. And they had a physical medium going out who they cancelled. But then they asked me if I could step into that breach into the demonstration, which I did. I shared one demonstration with another lady from the US called Diane. And then I did the physical phenomenon bit myself, the seance part. And then, of course, COVID hit. So everything went on. I had a great time when I was there 2019. 2022, when COVID's all done and dusted and travel restrictions lifted, I was asked if I would go back. And I thought, okay, I'll do the same. And this time, I offered different things. And 2023 was the same. And that then led to me going and doing other areas and looking at the churches and other areas. Their churches are very different to ours. 2024, then I started really stretching, and it was from Massachusetts, New Hampshire. Sorry, not Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and then down into Maine, which is like a spiritual. That really is a spiritual hub there. That it's just absolutely phenomenal, the feeling. And when you go to these spiritual camps, you know, water's nearby, just as it happens. The setting is beautiful. You've got time just to be at one. So that, and then I got opportunity to go to yet another place, and I went there, and they all invited me back. So that was very good. So it kind of grows, and you get your following, but it's very different to the way we work here at home. If we look at the church service part, the church services, everything is done together, and I so love the American way because they haven't lost sight of what's important. In the UK, we've become very much that all we want is the messages. We've forgotten that we used to do what was called a talk or an address. In America, they call it a talk. So their service starts, and the first 20 minutes is all healing. absolutely wonderful to sit in that energy. Then you get invited to do a talk. And that's the second part of the service. And the third part is when you connect to the spirit world and deliver your messages. Here in the UK, we used to do an address in a lot of places, but now we don't. It's all about the messages. So here in the UK, we can work for probably an hour and a half, an hour or an hour and 15 minutes, just delivering messages. In the US, you won't get as long as that. However, their messages have to be 2 to 3 minutes and touch on the spirit. Here, we have this where you could be anything from ideally 6 to 7 minutes. But some people can remain with the same person for 20 minutes. And so a very big difference in variation. Also a big difference in a lot of the information that will come through there. When I first went out in 2019, I don't believe this is all Americans. When I first went out, one lady had prepped and done all her messages the week before. So she sort of read it all off a bit of paper. And there was huge discussion about that as to what was that, did that happen? Normally when you work with psychic artistry, you'll maybe draw the week before and then write down everything from the psychic point of view and then link to the spirit. Now there's nothing wrong with working psychically as long as your client understands that you're working psychically and not from the spirit world. We do not make sure they know in this country that that's the case.
So explain to people the difference between
So-
psychic and the spirit world.
Psychic is normally all about your hopes, your wishes, and your dreams. And the psychic is where, oh, I see you've got purple wallpaper in your home. You know, I see the jewellery box sitting with the rose on it. That's normally all from the psyche. Or my understanding is that that's normally from the psyche. Now, yes, the jewellery box could come from the spirit world when perhaps a loved one said to you, I was there when you opened the jewellery with the rose on it, because that's fact. So when you work with the spirit world is about fact. I always say if they're not dead, it's not fact. If that doesn't describe your loved one, it's not fact. And the spirit world come for a reason. They don't just come to say, we love you. There's got to be things going on in life as to why they arrive. So, just for example, they're there to say, dear, we were there when you were just putting in the earring in your right ear and it didn't want to clip in other ear. You know, when it didn't want to go through the hole. You know, and if that did not happen, that's not fact. So your medium would then, if you didn't understand that, you would say no, and the medium would go back to the spirit world and maybe come back with, we were deciding what sunglasses you were going to wear today before you did your podcast. Was it those or was it your others? You know? And again, if that's not fact, that's not true. But in America, when you do private readings, just like here, they're so much more in depth and you can look at other things. But Americans have got a lot of questions about future. And one thing that you get a lot here and in the UK is people want to know what's going on with their relationships. Well, if you've got a problem in your relationship, then you actually know in your subconscious you've got a problem. So why does someone else have to confirm that for you? So, but Americans are so much more open. I mean, when you spiritualist churches there have all got their own buildings. Here at home, we don't. Spiritualist churches are all renting space. And it's individuals normally that are running and not organisations. So, although there's independent spiritualist churches, at the end of the day, all these things are businesses. So they're all trying to make things work from themselves. Some are part of an organisation called the NESC. We have here in the UK the oldest spiritualist organisation in the world, which is the SAGB. the Spiritualist Association of Great Britain, which used to be known as the Marylebone Spiritualists.
I didn't know that. Mary Laban,
And that-
spiritualist.
That was 10 friends that got together and called that Marylebone Spiritualists, which later became the SAGB. The only other organisation that has stood the test of time in the UK was the, let me see if I get this right. It is I think it's called the College of Psychic Studies or Psychic and Spiritual Studies in London. It was known as it's changed its name several times.
Yeah.
But it was kind of pioneered by a woman called Rose de Crefney, who was very
Amazing.
influential, and her husband was an admiral in the Navy, and she
Really?
tried to become involved in all the spiritual society things to get the spiritualist name out there. And she was a writer, so she did very well in getting things out there. But Hudson V. Barrett in the States set the spiritual camp up called Camp Etna, and the land is beautiful. There's a wonderful feeling there. So the camp is only open so many months of the year because of the winters. So now the camps are all just opening. So there are 3 main camps. Madison Spiritualist Camp, just out of Skowhegan in Maine. You've got Temple Heights, which is in Northport, and you've got Camp Etna, which is in Etna. And all just preparing to open for their very short season.
Wow.
So that spiritual beings can come together and either workshop or sit in classes, have private readings, go to the divine services, and commune. They're so much more open than we are.
But there are like 390 million people in America when you look at all the states.
Yeah.
So, and also the Hopi, they've got, the other thing about America is you've got the Native Americans are still there. And you've got the, like, obviously the Hopi tribes talk about the long hot summer. And I think they have indigenous knowledge, whether the Americans themselves are aware they're embracing it. Like it's in the quantum field, as I always say.
One thing Americans don't like, the spiritual people in America do not like, is the way that the Brits treated the indigenous when America was founded.
Yeah.
You know, I really feel for that, because I too be thinking, what else going on? Just the same. It's just the same in Australia, you know, and New Zealand with the Aborigines and the Maoris.
Yeah.
Man was so barbaric before. You know,
Man is still barbaric now. Look at the stuff that goes on. Do you know what I mean? Just like there's so much stuff going on in the world that we never hear about. Like the amount of like civil wars that are going on that never make the headlines because they're not in a country that has oil, for instance. It's quite horrific. The mass graves.
It was funny, I was chatting to a very good friend of mine who's just been at the Arthur Finlay College, and they were chatting to people they knew there about the old days, about, you know, black magic, witchcraft in certain countries. And colleagues will tell them it still goes on, but it's paid for now.
Yeah.
How sad that we've got to pay somebody to do it. You're clearing up for you. And it's not spiritual. You know?
I mean, I've heard stories from like I used to work for an immigration law firm, and I used to hear stories about people saying, "Oh, you know, there's a guy, some woman was having an affair, so she got a witch. So her husband got a witch doctor to put a thing on that whoever the man was she was having the affair with would start to like cluck like a hen or something, or quack like a duck." And then this guy goes, "What?" And he's looking at me dead serious. The guy is a well-off, you know, professional deadpan, and you're like, seriously? And he's like, "Babe, there is stuff going on in this world that you do not understand."
Yeah.
And it's just like, that is insane. I mean, could you imagine if we had MPs every time they told a lie, if they started quacking?
That would be great. I remember I said to this lady last year, Um, I was doing her spiritual assessment, and I was looking at the potential within there, and we spoke about a shelter and everything else. And she now has a shelter for those that were either abused or through trauma or alcoholics reforming. And she was so in awe that she could share that news. Isn't that just wonderful? That if you can teach people to be empowered,
That's
and,
beautiful.
and the Americans they understand so much more about manifestation than we do. They
Mm.
understand how to manifest. And I mean, I'll give you an example. The love spirit being that I met before we met, put that dress on, got her passport out, and put the thought out there, the spirit that she was ready to meet a like-minded friend that she could have fun and enjoy the spiritual world with. Now, she's seen my picture come up online and she swiped past it. She was very snarky and went, no, not for me. Is he gay? Is he not? No. No, I don't like spiritualist churches. I don't like that venue. I don't like the people. But then it kept popping up.
Mm.
And then she went, well, that's the third time this guy's popped up. I better go see what it's all about.
Interesting.
So I get just what we've been talking about previously. Nothing happens by coincidence.
Do you know, the same thing happened to me on Tinder. I've only been on Tinder once, and the guy, I kept trying to swipe past him, and the app would just close. And I'd open again, his picture would be there. Here's another Scott, and he's my COVID coochie. And so he was like, and he had this picture on his arm. At the time, I had long curly hair, and he had this picture on his arm. And we met up, and when we went into this coffee shop, and for like a vegan juice. And then he's ex-army, and the guy came over and went, "That's so beautiful. You got a picture of your girlfriend on your arm." And he looked at me, and I looked at the picture. It was exactly like me.
Oh,
And
wow.
he was like, this just was something that came up in my imagination. I got it tattooed all down my arm. You know what the soldiers are like, tattoos everywhere. And I was like, no way. I mean, he and I still got on really well now. My beautiful COVID coochie, the great breakup from a long-term relationship of 10 years. And it's exactly what I needed, a Scott. It made me also read this. I'll probably, Scott's, stick to your own. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, it's interesting though how the spirit world were working on Tinder. It was like, no, this is going to be your date. He might not be your type, but he's your date.
The one thing that was very the same in the UK and the US is politics through the spiritualist churches.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And what I don't see, because I don't know a lot of American mediums, I just go and do what I've got to do and come back. But I recently posted an event, and there's another medium for the UK out in Boston at the moment. And all of a sudden I don't believe a word this guy says. He tells people to stop taking heart medication. I've never in my life told anybody to stop taking any medication.
You're not a doctor. It's not your job. What you do is complimentary.
I'm not. And what I might say to somebody is, although there may be issues there, look at all the alternatives as well. Yeah. I'm not stop taking what you're taking, but I might be saying to you, look and see if you can help yourself by looking at alternatives and help.
Change your attitude. Believe. Be happy for what's going on in your life.
So in this instance, what I believe's happened is another medium's gone out there, and then now this American woman's decided to make a comment. She doesn't know me. She's never met me before. And it's very sad that people want to troll and troll and troll. Now, they have that in America too.
Yeah. That's energy vampires, babe. They're trying to suck energy, and they take energy. Do you know what I mean? And that's just vampirism of its own sort, but with the energetic style.
You've just got to move past it.
Yeah.
The most wonderful thing though is to share your knowledge with others and to learn. So there's been a couple of online things I've listened to because someone else has been listening to them, and it just caught my attention. Said, can I sit in and listen to? And it's been very enlightening. And looking at the whole quantum physics thing, or looking at sound baths, or looking at how alternative medicine can really help if that's the way you go. So when we come and we start looking at the whole spiritual human aspect, although We all do the same thing. You know, I think a friend of mine explains it as some just exercise it more than others. You know, it's like the spiritual gym.
Right.
But that's what they call it, the spiritual gym. And they just exercise ability more than others.
Interesting.
But on the back of it, they've found too that in their field, you get the people that can throw the money at it, but don't actually connect with the client. So when the whole interview is done or the ad's done and it's put out there, it doesn't pull the heartstrings, it doesn't pull you in and invest in the person. And I can see that 100%. But it's going to get worse before it gets better because there's so many people now going, well, I can do this too. And that's thanks to the online scenario, although online, it might give you the tools, but it doesn't allow you to practice your craft or ability.
True.
And the only good thing online is you can work from anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So if
Yes.
I want to podcast with you, then I can do it there. If I want to do a human session for someone, I can certainly do it from there. If I want to read, I can do it from there.
Oh my God, I had this American guy during COVID. Because during COVID, suddenly people that you could not access normally because they'd be fully booked up were like, oh my God, I have no clients. My waiting room is empty, so I'm not allowed them. Online. And I got my hands on amazing spiritual healers that I normally wouldn't be able to get my hands on. I'd normally have to fly to America for like 300 quid. And they were grateful for the money. And I was hunting them down. I said, hi, will you do online? They're like, yes. Too many friends that want that. And literally there was one guy who was so phenomenal. He and his wife were lovely. And I had I wasn't, because I've spent 150 grand on a healing journey, and and then it all turned out that anyway, story for another day. But anyway, I could literally feel him walking around because there's some issues in the base of my spine, walking around doing stuff in my spine. I could actually feel the guy outside of my body. It was the most insane feeling of my life. I mean, absolutely insane. And I was glad that that he wasn't hot and sexy. Otherwise, I'd have been having weird thoughts. If he'd been able to read them, I would have been like really mortified. But yeah, no, it was the craziest experience. And then I'm a spiritual healer, and I was like, I felt nothing. Once you've had somebody who truly can, I mean, the guy Jerry Willis, he's very famous. He's phenomenal reviews, and it does what it says on the can, right? And he and his wife, and he just gave me all this extra time for free. He's like, do this, do that. Here's natural hormone stuff that you should be doing, and blah 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 blah. And here's stuff for the future as well, in case I don't see you again. And thanks for the opportunity to heal you. Hello from America type thing. And then I saw him one more time again. Just really amazing guy. But once you've had that, the big difference between, and you also really get to grips with the quantum field in a massive way once you've had that experience.
I love the American people. I really do, because one, they're nobody's fool. Two, they're very direct. Don't tell you what they think.
Yeah. I love that.
And in a way, that's
very Scottish though in many ways.
Yeah, although it might upset you, they're only saying what they think, and they're entitled to their thoughts and feelings.
That's when I work with entrepreneurs as a photographer and content creator. They pay me to be brutally honest. I say to them the things their wife would love to say.
Yeah, but you're right. They are more like the Scottish people.
Yeah, definitely, and way more like us. Very straight to the point. Let's go gung ho. Like I had a New Year's Eve party, and my ex was like, "Who's that at the door at 7 a.m.? And I won't be the Scots to clean up. No one comes to clean up. Crew of 6 Scots. Doof doof, bang bang bang. We've got to go to the pub. Love you, babe. Bye." And they scrubbed everything because I had a dog, and like literally they were better than the housekeeper. And he came downstairs and he went, I've never experienced this. And I was like, no, Scots were a team, like Team Scotland. I mean, it's a bit like Israel, I guess. Like Israelis, they can work together as a team very quickly like that. And whenever I'm building a team, it doesn't matter where you're from in Scotland, you could be from the crappiest council estate. I just know that when I say you've got to be at work at 6 in the morning, it doesn't matter if you've been out till 5 a.m.
No.
You're bowling up at 6 and you smell good and you give me a good day's work. You might be dying in the toilets at lunchtime, but you know what I mean? There's none of that being late nonsense, and they work as a team.
Yeah, I got the opportunity. I can't let you know the name because I did sign the disclaimer, but I will tell you they're a chat show host. And I was fortunate enough to be in New York when I visited Radio City Hall, and they happened to be there. and I was asked if I would do a short read for them, which I
Mhm.
did. And it was all about the fact that, and they didn't believe it at the time. And I think it was stored, but it's all happened. And it was all about them stepping off there and finding new ways and means. And when the royal baby was coming,
Mhm.
the episode focused on the psychic banana that UK shows were going on, and if you cut the end of it, it was certainly help with this or that. And although they didn't mention my name, that was a mention, but they had had interaction with a psychic
No, really.
at the time. And I was just so chuffed when I seen the what had presented itself to play out.
Yeah.
But the first thing I had to do was sign non-disclosure.
Right. Yeah. An NDA, babe. It's all about
Yeah.
NDA. I love NDAs personally. I like a two-way NDA with my clients because I don't necessarily want them to write about what I'm able to do. Because
Yeah.
I'll come aboard as a photographer. Really, I'm a healer, amongst other things. But I don't necessarily want you telling everybody what I do, and that my own thing that I do, the way that I heal with Reiki and tuning forks and stuff like that, that's my own little program that's for me, and I channel the Holy Spirit. I don't need the whole world trying to practice what I'm practicing because mine, I feel like, I don't charge people for it. Generally, I just throw it in as part of a part. If I'm doing your content, you'll get that as part of the package. The whole charging for healing thing doesn't really sit with me.
No.
With my-
Well, you see, this is where I look slightly differently at all of this, okay? Because I think healers get such a bad journey.
Mm,
Healers are only silent mediums. Mediums are only vocal healers.
mm.
And at the end of the day, healing, it's up to you, I believe, it's up to you whether you give it freely or not.
Yeah.
I think in one way there should always be an exchange. There
Yeah.
shouldn't be an expectation. So if you've got someone that's very vulnerable and you decided to give them a second and it was great, they're going to stick to you like glue because
Yeah.
they want that. They want to feel better,
Yeah.
you know. And in an exchange, it's just something as simple as I've made you a cup of tea.
An
Because
energy exchange.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be money.
it has to not be about the money.
Yeah. Because when we met in the Mind Body Soul thing, there was a lady, she was asking me about tuning forks, and I looked at her energy and I was like, you're a single parent, I can tell that anywhere. And I was like, shall I show you what I mean about the tuning forks? I gave her like my facial massage and hand massage, and she was like floating out. And then she said, I want you to come to my stand. She was on this essential oil stand, and she gave me a little gift of a 3-pack.
Oh,
They're 30 quid each, right? I would never buy them at £35 each. I'd love to tell you that I would, but I wouldn't. And now I've had them, I probably would. Do you know what I mean? Like, they were beautiful things. But it's funny, after I did her, there was another woman who's just like, well, I would like that. And I was just like, wait to be offered.
Yeah,
And you don't need anything. But
correct.
when you can just see somebody that she was in need. And then she gave me a lovely little gift that's actually useful to me, that I use with my clients. And it was really, really nice.
I mean, it's funny. So obviously, I travel. So
Yeah.
on the airlines, when they realise that you've got ability, they're like, "Have you got something for me?"
Yeah.
I was sleeping on the flight home from Boston last year, and I was in a lot of pain, so I was stretched out flat.
No.
And as I woke, there was 3 crew standing over me saying, "Oh, we're so glad you're awake. We've been standing here for half an hour waiting to see if you would wake up or not."
Yeah, like eyeballing you awake like a dog does. The dog sits over you, looks at your bed until you wake up.
So then they go, we wondered if you've got something you can tell us. So anyway, I did it.
Yeah, I need my cup of tea first.
Anyway, I did it, and then obviously somebody had told somebody else, and somebody else had booked them. But it was expected.
Yeah.
And I would say, look, I don't. But if you weren't on the flight, I wouldn't be walking up to you and going, "Can you go get me a beer? Can you get me a cup of tea? Can you get me dinner?" And if I want to, though, like I was in, Chicago when I had to change flights, and the young lad that picked me up in Chicago was very good. We didn't have long before the flight left. So he was like on a major to get me to the other side of O'Hare Airport to get me on the plane. And he'd been chatting to me, and I was telling him what, you know, I said, oh, you've got such an easygoing energy about you. Da, 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 da. I said, your granddad is in the spirit world, isn't he? And, you know, he was so humbled and so touched. He said, I needed to hear that today.
Oh, bless her.
Message. And it was all about in what, you know, set your boundaries now. I said, you know this already. And then when we got to the gate, this Chinese lady said to him, you need to come and help me. I'm only one person. And he went, stop. I'm only one person and I'm not doing it. Go back to your manager and ask them for the assistance. He said, I've got a client here and I'm dealing with my client. So
that's amazing.
I got you know, so we'd spoke about that. He'd realised that. He said, yeah, it's been going on for a while and I keep saying, you know, I'm only one person. If they want more people, employ more people. But I can only do so much in my day.
Yeah.
And I remember walking up to the supermarket in the supermarket here, and a young lady that was helping me, I connected her to her aunt, and I asked her if she minded. And at that point, she was thinking whether she should leave where she was and go to Aberdeen. And I didn't know this. So I said to her, I just to mention Aberdeen to you and say, how cool was that? And I got a lovely message from her to say that she's in Aberdeen and doing very well.
That's
and there's a lady called Angel, little Chinese lady I met in Marks and Spencer's. And wonderful, wonderful human being. Wonderful. And she met me when I was looking for soy sauce. And she said, don't you buy that. I get you some from Chinese cash and carry. And I bring it to you. So I exchanged her for one of my books because she's seen something in me that went, I'm going to do that for you. And I seen something in her that went, well, I'm going to do that for you because she was just so nice. So it just shows this be kind business.
Nice.
You know, and I used to laugh when I would go to the States or Canada, because I've got friends there too, and we'd always go into the States. And we'd walk into Walmart and they go, welcome to Walmart, have a great day. And of course, Walmart's got the tag Wally World, so I go and go, welcome to Wally World, have a great day. But then I look and go, my God, these people are just all about positivity. You know, although they're working for a corporate organization, they're trying to instill them to have that positive attitude. And if you're not feeling great and somebody goes, welcome, have a great day, and you think, oh, thank you, that's really kind of you. I needed to hear that today. You know,
it does. Right. So positivity itself. You're going to be back in the land of positivity, America, aren't you? How long are you back for? Where are you going? What are you doing? Tell us more about it. Where can people find you?
I'm going back from the 11th of June. I will be at Madison Camp from the 2nd to the 6th of July.
Yeah.
Then I'm going straight to Northport from the 6th to the 13th to Temple Heights.
Ooh.
And then in Augusta on the 20th of July. And I'm in Sabattis on the 17th of August. And I will be at the Guildford Sanctuary out with all of that. I am going to be having surgery on my eyes.
Ooh.
And that means I'm going to be in the States until I've had the recovery sessions and the checkups. So that means I'm away 11 weeks, 11 June to 26 August.
That also gives people in America the opportunity to book you for private sessions, online and in person, right?
Yeah, and I do have I will have an American phone number that will be switched on the 12th of June. That will be
people find that.
One, it'll be on my social media, and I can tell you that now because I know the number. It'll be 207 272 4212.
Will that also be on your website?
It's not on the website yet, but that's
It'll be
just
on your Instagram.
yeah, it'll probably be on Instagram. But everything should be loaded up on the website before, so that you know where to find things. A lot of the centres that have arranged everything are only just publishing their programmes now.
Oh,
So you wait until they come back to you with the proof edits and it's gone to print, and then they can say to you, you can upload it. So
yeah.
just waiting for that to be confirmed, because most things don't open. One thing I was supposed to do, but they got the date a bit mixed up, was do a pre-season message circle at Madison on the 11th of June. And Graham, another Graham, who runs the Madison camp, got the dates a bit mixed up and has made a mistake in his trifold and put it's the 12th, because I don't actually arrive until the 11th. So I spoke to him yesterday. He's going to put it on their Facebook page and on their website. I had a great time at Madison last year. Looking forward to a great time this year. Temple Heights was just quite phenomenal. Looking forward to visiting them. Augusta was just the best ever in reception. Can't wait to visit Augusta. Sabatis on the cards, and I will be doing a little New Hampshire privately, which already people are already contacting me through social media, through Instagram, Facebook. But no, I'm heading in that direction.
And what about when you come back? Are you going to be doing stuff at the end of the festival? Because you'll be back in August, right?
I'm back at the end of the festival.
Oh,
But I am in September going to be filming a documentary with Samantha Jane Scott and two others that are taking part. They're in the process of finalising the budgets and production just now. And that, as soon as I have more, but that I believe is going to be 4 different mediums and 4 different, very different journeys
that would be really exciting.
and how we got to ability. So that's exciting stuff. And I know that in the States, I sent some pictures off there, and I'm hoping it comes back that the interest is there, because I've got some phenomenal pictures of me changing into spirit walking out of me, being tranced, working shamanically. All these pictures, this is how the UK programmes came out, because we've been like this in the light. So hopefully that will eventually stir a little bit of interest stateside too. We can share the love together across the pond.
That's going to be amazing.
And beyond.
And beyond and across the pond.
Yeah.
Right. I think the next one we should do because some people are going to listen to this, right? And they're going to be like, I feel that I should be doing this for a job. And it's not like you can just bowl up on your UCAS form and be like, oh, spiritual medium, tick, and go to university for it. So what I'm thinking is for the next one, it'd be nice if we could maybe do a podcast on, obviously we spoke a bit about your journey, but, not everybody's based in Scotland. How would people go around doing it? The do's and the don'ts, what horror stories you've heard, good things you've heard, and also for people to understand the difference between, say, like I do spiritual healing, like I channel the Holy Spirit. You're a medium. You're talking about psychic stuff earlier. There's different modalities, and people might not understand which one they sit into. Like my friend's a clairvoyant, which to me is quite different from a medium. Does that make sense?
Well, a medium and
So what I'm saying, let's
yes.
unpack this in the next one.
Yeah,
And the next podcast, so that people can look at what I feel that I want to train to, to be the best version of myself and to
Correct.
flex those muscles. How like we can go briefly over what the other things are, and then really deep dive into how they can train to be a spiritual medium, and also people understand that it's okay to be a Christian or whatever, and to be a medium.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If God didn't want it to exist, it wouldn't exist.
Absolutely.
I'll say to people,
Thank
you're not
So,
chatting like that. But that's amazing. And until next week, dun, dun.
Have a great day, folks. Enjoy. Lots of love.
Harmony and healing. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.